Okay, welcome one and all for this second Modern Workplace webinar. We've got a load of stuff to pack in over the next 30 minutes, so I'm going to kind of crack straight onto it. For those who are new, what we'll run through is we'll have a bit of a kickoff where we'll review a poll that we did last month and then run a new one. Then we go to Copilot Corner, which is where I'll show you something specifically related to Copilot. We'll then look at AI in a more general sense and have a little bit of a masterclass. This month it's on prompting, prompting 101. Then we go to our spotlight session where we have a special guest talking about another area of modern work. This month it's Mick, who is inTEC's CTO, and he's going to be talking all around our inTRUST SOC solution. Then we've got a modern work hack, which is around Edge this time. And then we go to our Tech SOS, which is where you kind of can ask me any questions that you like, and I will do my best to answer it. That's always the most terrifying bit of the session, but hopefully I'll be okay. Straight into our kind of our kickoff and our curiosity of the month. So last month we asked this, which was your biggest, or which is your biggest 2026 challenge? And no surprise, being this is a modern work kind of webinar and fairly AI focused, that the subjects were around that. So around AI adoption and productivity in particular. But I think it showed that there's, a fairly broad range of areas that people are concerned about from an IT perspective. Less so shadow IT, which is interesting. I think shadow AI is probably going to be something that's going to be more on people's agenda this year, and kind of how you control data going to the likes of ChatGPT and whatnot that aren't necessarily as data protected as the likes of Copilot. So we'll see. The poll this month is going to therefore focus around AI adoption. So what I'm interested to know is, what are you all doing around that at the moment? So the poll is going to appear any second now, but the options that you're going to have, as you'll see, is you do nothing about it. You're exploring it, but you haven't made any decisions yet. You've picked a solution and you're setting goals. You've picked a solution, you've set your goals, you've got your environment ready, and you're ready to kind of roll out. Taking a step back, maybe you just bought some licenses and you're kind of seeing what's going to go on with those and how they're going to work. Or you're kind of up and running and you're now kind of tracking the benefit that you're getting from the new solution and kind of seeing how you can improve things further, maybe using agents or whatever it may be. So please do vote on this. It's always interesting to kind of see as a group what we've got, and we'll look at the results in the next session. But you should see those updating live as more and more people vote. Okay, off to Copilot Corner we go. And this month I wanted to look at memories, and how you can save memories within Copilot, and how Copilot saves memories for you, and looks at various kind of aspects of your day-to-day to inform it. This first bit, we're going to look at Work IQ, is a paid-for feature, so it comes with the kind of the premium Copilot license. But later on, we'll look at some other aspects that are not paid-for aspects, so the stuff that comes with the free M365 Copilot license. So we'll start with a very short Microsoft video.
Microsoft 365 Copilot with Work IQ, AI built for work. Work IQ is the intelligence layer that enables Microsoft 365 Copilot and agents to know you, your work, and your company. Work IQ brings together data, memory, and inference. It includes work data, emails, chats, meetings, and files, capturing how work gets done. It's woven into the apps you use every day, like PowerPoint, Excel, Word, Outlook, and Teams, so Copilot is always learning. It has memory, your style, preferences, and relationships, so Copilot understands your unique patterns. Finally, it includes inference, which brings it all together, enabling Copilot to connect the dots to unlock insights and predict the next best action. You can even tap into Work IQ to build custom agents. It connects everything that matters inside your company and turns it into an experience that feels effortless, powerful, and personal.
So Work IQ is Microsoft's new name for basically Copilot's memory. So Copilot, the premium version, the paid-for version, has always had access to your data, which is what makes it so powerful. It can see emails, Teams, and everything that kind of lives within your organization, all with the same kind of security that you'd expect. So that person's Copilot is personalized to them and can only see what they can access as an individual. It doesn't suddenly give that person access to every file across the organization. But for me, Work IQ is the thing that differentiates Copilot from the competition, really. I think we could argue all day around which is the best AI. And I think they all do things differently, and some are better than others at certain tasks. But I think one of the things that makes Copilot particularly powerful is Work IQ, and this fact that it can see all of your work data, and therefore its responses are going to be way more tailored to you as a result of that, which none of the others can really compete with. So what this means is that when you chat with it, it remembers. And it remembers previous conversations. It remembers projects that you're working on because you've asked it about those projects. It can read through all of your emails and all of your Teams messages. So when you ask it any sort of question you can think of, it's not just using the internet to inform itself. It's using your real work world, and not just the entire file base of the business, but the stuff that it knows you work with. Because it knows your job role, it knows the files that you've opened, it knows the emails that you've read, everything, which makes it really, really powerful. But you can customize this experience. So this kind of works in the background, and it's kind of always there. But you've also got a few other areas that you can kind of give it memory to. So there's a section within Copilot called custom instructions, and these are things that you can set manually. So in prompting, you can literally go into Copilot, and this is part of the free set as well. This isn't a paid for feature. You can go in and say remember, and then type in whatever you want it to remember, and it will remember that. But also the saved memory section, and I'm going to show you where these live in just a second, will remember things over time. So you can explicitly tell it to remember stuff. And it'll save in its saved memory, or you can explicitly add custom instructions and it will save those as well. But it also is designed to just naturally remember things as you go along. So let's kind of dive into Copilot really quick, and I'll show you where these features live. So you go up to the top right, and there's 3 dots, and right in here you've got personalization. So if I click on custom instructions, you'll see my custom instructions. I'll pause that just for a second. So in mine's fairly straightforward. I used to find myself always asking Copilot, how can you make the thing that I've just asked you better? It's a really good hack, because it just makes it think about the response it's just given you and just go, right, actually, does this make sense? And refine it. But I got sick of asking that after every single prompt. So my custom instruction is dead simple. It's whenever I ask you something, ask yourself, how could I make this better? And therefore I get to a better response a lot quicker. But I could have these custom instructions as anything I want, as we kind of saw in that previous table. If I want to tell it to talk in a certain style, it will. If I want it to give me responses in bullet points, it will. These can be wholly customized as to whatever you want. What we've also got then is saved memory. So also in this personalization tab, I can click on this manage saved memories button, and I can see what it's already remembering about me. And if it's maybe remembered something that's not relevant anymore because my job's changed, or the project I was working on that it's remembered is finished, I can remove those from there. But again, if I want to explicitly add to my saved memories, I just say remember this, and then I tell it whatever it is, and that might be remember my job title, remember I don't like emojis in responses when I ask it to write a social media post, whatever it might be, and it will remember those moving forward. And again, if I ever want to check what it's remembering and make sure it's on the right track, that's where I do it. So that is Copilot Corner. I'm pretty much sticking to time, which is very unlike me. So let's go to our AI Masterclass. And for our AI Masterclass, I wanted to touch on something that kind of everyone probably on this call is familiar with to one extent or another. It's prompting. It's our entire way to communicate with AI. But it's really important that we get it right. Poor prompting for me is, it's the only way to interface with it. So if we're not getting it right, we're not using the tool to the best of its ability. So this is Microsoft's advice as to how you prompt. And basically you do GCSEs. So you want to be writing prompts that always have these 4 elements to it: a goal, context, source, and expectations. So what kind of response do you want from Copilot? Why do you need it? Where should it go looking for it? And what are your expectations? You've got to kind of get used to being a lot more verbose, I guess, with Copilot or with any AI. I think it's really easy to talk to the AI like you would Google and just put in keywords. But I think you've really got to talk to it as if it were an intern or an apprentice or just another person. Because if you're way more explicit in what you tell it, the response you'll get out of it will be infinitely better. So it means that a prompt will often look something like this, where my goal is that I want to generate 3 to 5 bullet points. My context is it's to prepare me for a meeting. All of this is going to get me to an answer faster, but it's going to get me to something way more relevant faster as well, because it will take on a persona kind of based on what I'm telling it. So if I'm telling it it's to prepare for a meeting with a client, the language it will use will be different if it was an internal meeting or if it was a technical meeting or whatever else. So all of this is useful information. And telling it where to focus, it's great that it's got access to kind of everything, but getting it to focus on certain areas means that the response will be much more in line with what I need it to be, because otherwise it could go and dig up an email from a year ago that's not necessarily relevant anymore, but how does it know that unless I tell it? And I've told it to use simple language. So that's how you kind of prompt, but there are loads of tools in the Microsoft world to help you do this. I'm going to show you 3. The Copilot Prompt Gallery, Prompt Coach, which is an agent in Copilot, and my top tip, using Copilot or whatever AI you use itself to help you prompt. So let's look at this in action. So here I am in Copilot, and you'll notice that below the prompt box is a load of pre-built prompts. But if I click on this little prompt gallery at the bottom, I get to see a load more pre-built prompts. I can then filter these by task. I can filter them by job type. And if I'm using multiple agents, I can do it like that as well. I can save my prompts. So I've got a section here called Your Prompts. And I can see what prompts I've shared with my team and what's been shared with me in my team. So let's look at how we save a prompt. So here is an existing prompt. If I want to save it, I hover over it and I've got all these various icons, and there's the ribbon to save it. So I click that. I can give it a different title. So I'm going to call this AI Findings. I can save that, and there it is. And if I want to access it, I go to my prompt gallery, and there it is. Now, let's say this is a really good prompt and I want to share it with my team. Then I can do that. I hit the share button, I hit team, I find the team I want to share it with, and I hit share. And now that will appear in my team's prompt section. And I can filter this by team as well. So I can share that prompt with multiple. Now I'm going to go to agents. I'm going to go and find my prompt agent. So here it is, Prompt Coach. And what Prompt Coach is an agent that's been built purely for the purpose to build prompts for you. It's free. It comes with every subscription. And I'm going to give it a really simple prompt. I'm going to say, write a prompt to summarize my emails, specifically emails I've received in the last 24 hours. So I give it that, and it starts thinking about what I want. So it's asking me a question, kind of how do I want it delivered? I'm just going to tell it, I'll just give it, I want it to be delivered in bullet points. So I tell it that, and it writes me a prompt. So there is the full prompt, and I can copy that into Copilot, and off I go. So that's great, but I tend to use Copilot itself to do this. So I'm going to put that same prompt into Copilot, write a prompt to summarize emails. So I'm not telling it to summarize the emails, I want it to write the prompt for me. And it does. And I look at that, I think that's okay, but I think you can do better. So I'll tell it that, make this better. And what you'll see is it will now action that and give me a way more detailed prompt. And I use this all the time, both this type of prompt, but also the AI prompt, the AI, I use the AI to prompt itself, because nothing knows how to prompt an AI better than the AI itself. So it's a really useful tool, and you can use this. Again, it's around iteration. So it's about reading the prompt and going, oh, well, have you considered this? What about this? But you get there and then you run it with a fresh agent. And it's a really nice way of getting to where you need to be that bit quicker. Right, moving on, I'm going to welcome in Mick Satiar. So Mick is inTEC's CTO. I've got to be nice to him because he's also my boss. And he's here to talk around our inTRUST SOC solution. So welcome, Mick.
Thanks, Mark. Hello to everyone. Some familiar names in the attendees list, which is good to see. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully you can get some value out of this.
Fingers crossed. So I know we can go on for ages, so we'll try and we're going to be tight on this. So to set the scene, what do you actually mean by SOC and why should people care about it?
Okay, so for those that don't know, SOC is not what you put on your foot. In this context, it's SOC, which stands for Security Operations Center. It means it's a tool where we don't just rely on tools to generate alerts on your system. It's something that has real people behind actively watching those alerts in your environment 24/7 and responding to attacks when they happen. Sadly, cyber attacks don't happen 9 to 5, and without a SOC, threats can go unnoticed until the damage is done. So every device on your network creates a log. Copilot creates logs. Your 365 account, when you log in, creates a log. Everything creates a log. And it's almost impossible to digest those logs due to the sheer volume of them. So what our SOC does is it filters out the noise. It uses AI to analyze the threats, and then it feeds our humans clean data, so then we can look at the outputs. And if something doesn't look right, we lock it down, and then our help desk team will resolve the threat, and then you can get on with your day.
And what are the most kind of common security issues you see when kind of new customers coming to us before they've got something like this in place?
Without a doubt, the biggest issue is blind spots. Alerts are happening, as I just explained, but no one's reviewing them properly or joining the dots. We also see really slow response times to cyber attacks, misconfigured security tools. So you might have all the right tools, but they're just set up wrong. And attacks that have been sitting quietly in someone's environment for weeks or even months, completely undetected. It's impossible to see what you don't know exists, I suppose. And a SOC removes those blind spots and gives us proper, real intelligence on what's happening real time, 24/7.
Okay, so you've kind of alluded to this, but can you walk us through at a fairly high level what happens when the SOC detects a threat?
Yeah, okay. So good question. First, we validate the alert's real. Last thing we want to do is have a knee-jerk reaction and take your entire environment down because we thought something's happening on your network that shouldn't. For example, you might have someone traveling to China and they try logging on from China, and the system sees that's a location that you shouldn't be logging on from, and it locks that user down. We wouldn't want that if it's legitimate. So we validate it's real. We then contain the threat by isolating the device from the network. We stop the hack from spreading, essentially. And then inTEC have sole access to that device. So it's disconnected from the networks, disconnected from the internet, it's disconnected from all your other data, but only we can remediate it. And then once remediated, we reattach it to the network, and your user can get on with his working day. Same goes for 365 account breaches and firewalls and everything else in between.
Nice. Now, is this for everybody, or is this more of a enterprise tool?
Yeah, well, traditionally it was just for enterprises, and traditional SOC solutions still can be really expensive. We spent a lot of time with building our SOC so that it can be sold on a per device basis. So it really makes it accessible to smaller businesses who don't have those stupidly big budgets for cybersecurity. So it's designed for everyone, essentially, Mark. One-man bands all the way through to companies with thousands of users. It gives businesses of all sizes enterprise-grade tools without the enterprise-level complexity or cost. And when you couple it with inTRUST Premium, which is our AV, EDR, ransomware protection, vulnerability scanning, third-party patching, it integrates natively. So we've got a single looking glass to your attack surface at all times. Okay,
so if someone's on the fence, what's the risk of not having this? If you've got, the other security tools in place, what is this bringing to the table?
Okay, the common question we get is, I've got 365 Business Premium. Why do I need this? And that's a really valid question because 365 Business Premium gives you loads of stuff. But we don't replace Microsoft Security. We just make it work properly and we fill in the gaps. inTRUST SOC sits on top of tools like Intune and conditional access, and it turns those alerts into real world actions. So like 365 integration is completely free, by the way, as part of our per device model. So you might have 10 devices and we ingest all of your 365 data at no additional cost. So we're covering a significantly larger attack surface through an agent installed on every device and your 365 tenant connected to our SOC. 365 is a beast, as anyone who's ever managed it will know. So it's really easy to miss a configuration error or a recent policy change that's opening that attack surface and opening that risk. SOC will collect that data, identify where the risk is, and lock it down in real time.
And since we're talking around security, in your opinion, what's the kind of first practical step someone should take if they want to improve their security posture this year?
Yeah, I think I half answered this earlier. It's getting that visibility we talked about. Understanding what's happening on your environment and who's watching it is really, really key. There is such a big attack surface with all of our customers. So 365, firewalls, switches, someone walking into your building and plugging a laptop in. Every single device, every single piece of software. Once you've got eyes on all of those and the security issues that they can sometimes pose 24/7, everything else becomes a little bit more manageable. And then combining it with inTRUST Premium, like we said earlier, I think it's a game changer personally. And if you need to take it to the next step, just give me a shout or speak to your account manager, and we'll get the ball rolling. I think there's going to be an invitation to set up a meeting with me, a little 30-minute cybersecurity check-in call. I might have just stole your lines there, Mark, but
that's all right.
Go for it.
No, you're right. There is absolutely that. So if anyone wants to talk to Mick one-to-one and kind of understand this, or just understand, your cybersecurity posture in general, then you can book a free meeting with him as a kind of a free gift for joining this webinar. And the link you see there, the book a meeting, that is a workable link. So if you want to click on that, please do, and yeah, fill up Mick's diary because he needs more work to do. Right, good. Thanks. Really appreciate that, mate. That was great.
No worries. Thanks, everyone.
Right, modern work hacks. So every month I kind of rack my brains to find the most interesting topic I can think of from a modern work perspective that will benefit people. And what's more interesting than an internet browser? Something that everyone is using every day, but there's tons and tons of functionality built into these solutions now that people aren't necessarily aware of. So I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of all the features of Edge. Now, often when I say the word Edge, people kind of narrow their eyes a bit and go, "It's not Chrome, is it?" And that's fair. But actually, I think Edge is a totally different beast to the one from a few years ago. Obviously, Copilot's integrated into it, as we'll look at. But there's lots of functionality in there now that I think is really useful to know. And it's easily managed from a Microsoft perspective with regards to your accounts. So let's have a quick look at what we can do. So here I am in Edge. I've got all my tabs across the top, very familiar. So I'm going to show you how you can manage all of these a bit better. If I click this down arrow up here, I can see all my open tabs in one place, and I can see all my recently closed as well, so I can get back to something. But what I can also do is I can make it vertical. I prefer this, it takes up less space. So I can make these vertical instead, I can pin them. And what I can also do is I can organize them. So if I click on this little button here, it will automatically organize my tabs based on what's opened. So I have less of a mess of icons than I did previously. This is the tidiest my browser's ever been, by the way. So I can filter through from there. And there are other ways in which I can then use Edge. I can use it in split screen. So from one monitor, I can still split across two browsers within the single browser and look at two panes of glass at once. I'll just close that first one now. So now I'm on a web page. The next thing I want to show you is Copilot. So I can click up the Copilot button here. I'm signing as my work account, so it's all secure. And I can use Copilot to interrogate whatever I happen to be on at the time. So I'm on this web page. I've asked it to summarize the main points, and it does that for me. If this was a PDF, it would do that. And I can question around it, just as I could if this was a document or anything else. And this is completely free. If you want to favorite this, obviously I can favorite it. That's nothing particularly groundbreaking. But there are a few other ways in which I can save websites. So I can obviously save them to a big folder of favorites, and I can save them across my favorites bar. But another thing that Microsoft have introduced is collections. So if I go to more tools in collections, I can create kind of little subcategories of links that I can save up as collections, and I can click through them. So I can have a collection for anything I want, and I find it a much easier way of doing so. I can easily capture images within Edge, so I can capture full screen or snippets of it. I'm going to copy this full screen image that I've done, and I'm going to use another tool. I'm going to go to more tools. I'm going to click on this drop button. Realize I'm moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. What drop allows me to do is communicate between my laptop and my phone, essentially, or anything that I'm signed into from an Edge perspective. So if I send this image on drop, I can now open that image on my phone, and vice versa. So I find drop a really easy way to get stuff from one place to the other. Another thing I can do is I can create QR codes within Edge. So I can create a QR code of whatever window I happen to be on, whatever area I am, and I can then save that, put it in presentations, etc. Another thing, I'm going to pause this slightly here so I can catch up with myself, is the ability to sign in with multiple accounts. I find this supremely useful, as I want to segregate my work account from my personal account. So I don't want my work account saving personal passwords, and vice versa. So what you can do in Edge is you can have multiple accounts, all signed in, all synced, all saving passwords and whatnot, but segregated from one another. So you'll notice here I've got two work accounts because I've got my administrative account and I've got my standard business account, and then I've got my personal account in here. So you can set these up really easily. If I click on the little person icon, I can click set up a new personal profile, or I can set up as a new work profile, or browse as a guest so it doesn't save the cookies. If I want to customize that further, I go to settings, and from here I can see all the settings I've got for my work account. I can turn things on and off as I wish. I could apply a picture to here and whatnot. I can change my privacy settings. Edge has got really good tracking prevention in here, so if I want to do ad blocking and that sort of stuff, I absolutely can. I can change the appearance. I really like to do this because it's a very easy visual way of me knowing which account I'm in at any one time, because it'll have a different color. So my admin account is red, so I know I'm in my admin account. So loads of features within Edge that we've just flew through in 3.5 minutes, but hopefully it just gives you an idea of what's available. It's worth mentioning at this point that this webinar will be available on YouTube afterwards. So if you wanted to go back and look and maybe pause at certain elements, then you absolutely can. Our final bit is our Tech SOS. And what we do in this is basically I open it up to everyone who's on here. So if anyone is feeling brave and wants to test me out on an issue that you may be having now, or any questions that you've got around anything that we've spoken about in today's session, please use the little raise hand button and I will unmute you and you can tell me all about it. Oh, no. Oh, well, that's fine. I won't take it to heart. That means everyone is absolutely working perfectly, and we obviously explain stuff fantastically well. So that's brilliant. With that, we're pretty much bang on time, which is amazing. So hopefully, for those who joined in January, you'll know that we do this every month. For those for whom it's new, we do this every month. So the next session is on the 18th of March, which is a Wednesday. There's a link there to register. So if you click that now, you can register straight away for the next session. And with that, thanks very much for joining. I hope it was a worthwhile 30 minutes, and I'll see you in March. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mark.